All right. Let's do the awkward startup on this because I don't know if anybody's out there and I don't know if they're still watching the advertisements. So it looks like there might be two. I don't know. How's it going tonight? Anybody there? Can you see me? Anybody see me? Hello? Well, this might be a short live stream then. Doesn't seem like anybody's out there. Just sitting here talking to myself. Oh, hey, there's someone. Sweet. How's it going this evening? So I got an audience of one. I'm never sure what time to set these things. There's a few people coming in. Everybody, welcome. How's it going this evening? And obviously, as the name implies, I am here to give a little bit of update on where things currently are at with our upcoming big hike. And yeah, there's a little bit of stuff to talk about, as anybody who lives in this area is probably aware of. In short, everything I think is in place as it needs to be at this point in time. So we have our gear is set and ready to go. Hotpants and I, who couldn't make it tonight, but he and I have gotten out and done a shakedown hike this last weekend. I'm actively editing that video for that as we speak. But we kind of started it up to get to ready for it and did a little bit of an interview session with each other. So I was able to get out and use my new tent a few times and feel pretty comfortable with that. So I think gear-wise, we're all dialed in. Food-wise, I have all of my freeze-dried meals set and ready to go. I think Connor does too. And right now, we just have to wait until we can start putting together the rest of the meals. I don't want to buy stuff too early and then have it go bad. So yeah, I think as far as gear and logistics go, we're pretty good. All the people doing our resupplies are on board. We have a third member of the party that's going to join us in Cook City, and he's got everything situated. So we have our rides all figured out, and a vehicle will be left at the end for us to pick up at the end. And all the resupplies, once we get those packaged up, will be delivered to the people that are going to be giving them to us. Two of them will be, pretty easy. The third, Connor's going to take care of. So all in all, I'd say we're actually in pretty good shape, and it definitely is starting to hit me that things are moving forward, and we're kind of at the point of no return, if you will. Everything's in place, and we are ready to go logistically. Our plans come together. I'm finalizing right now the emergency plan, which has come into some interesting aspects of the trip right now. So those of you that don't know or may not have heard, one of the areas that we're going to be going through had a bridge that was washed out a couple years ago in some pretty bad flooding. And it's a lake that has a discharge where the bridge used to be, and it's a pretty precarious spot to go through. It is a very strong current, and the outlet immediately dives down into a canyon, and it's pretty treacherous. Unfortunately, and very tragically, just a couple of weeks ago, not even a week ago, a person drowned trying to cross that particular area. Unfortunately, I don't know all the details, but I do know that they have yet to recover his body. So there is a search effort involved, and it's tragic. It's extra tragic because just a year ago, another person drowned at the exact same spot trying to do the exact same thing. And so up until that point, we felt pretty confident because we had come up with a alternate plan. Someone asked earlier my reaction to finding out that the bridge work won't be done until end of August, early September, which is what's currently happening. And my reaction was it didn't matter because we'd already had a pretty solid contingency plan set up. Our idea was is that instead of trying to cross it, which would be dangerous, or swim it, which I only doggy paddle, um, it wasn't going to be an viable option. And so what we decided to do was we have two friends of ours that are going to meet us from the opposite side. They're going to hike up with a pack raft, and then we are going to use the pack raft to cross about midway up the lake. So as far away from the outlet as we can, so that we don't have to worry about the current. So that was our solution. That's what we came up with. That's what we have planned for. And, I talked to quite a few people in the area that are kind of more experts to that particular area, and everybody agreed that that was a very safe way to go about it. Unfortunately, this incident has kind of changed some of the views about accessing this area. And right now, a lot of people are very understandably saying that it's probably a good idea to, in fact, avoid that area. So, of course, that puts us into a very interesting spot. We have a lot of stuff going. We have a lot of stuff put into this. And, it's going to be really difficult to kind of pull out from this point. So I contacted a few people that were involved in this and who were spreading the word and talk to them about it and, trying to decide what we should do. And currently the plan is to go forward. I don't think there's any issue with the safety of what we're doing. I think we have put in a lot of things in place to make sure that we're as safe as humanly possible. We're going to be as far away from that dangerous spot as we possibly can. I'm not too concerned about that. But the other thing is that they haven't found his body yet. There's still a search and rescue operation that's going on. It's suspended right now, but it will be continuing on when the water falls, which would be right about the time that we're getting there. And there's also the crews that are still up there that are trying to access the bridge area in order to put the bridge in. That's the reason why it's not happening quite yet. And so the concern is obviously, are we going to be in the way and causing issues? And, a lot of the media or the talking back and forth about what's going on with this particular incident has been centered around the idea of trying to stay, out of the way and protecting people who either don't have the experience level or don't have that background to be able to have a very safe experience. Unfortunately, in this day and age with a lot of misinformation going on out there, you have people that are saying, oh, it's perfectly fine. I crossed it before, and it is fairly crossable when the water levels are low, but in June, it's never the case. And even July, it's still probably going to be too high for us to safely cross there. And it's just not worth the risk in that sense. Um, you know, this guy, I don't know any of his experience level. I don't know any situation, but it doesn't matter. It's a tragic loss. And, it's definitely going to weigh heavily over that particular part of this trail. And I'm still having some stress over it. I feel at times guilty for trying to continue on. And I do feel like, I might be potentially creating situations where we are maybe getting in the way of some of the rescue workers and stuff. And I understand that too, because I used to be one, and it's a valid point. That said, we're going to go into this as safely as humanly possible and with as much respect and awareness of the situation as we can. People are going to still continue to do it. And I can only hope that everybody approaches it with some level of understanding. And don't get me wrong, even with our plan, things may, come up and not go exactly to plan. But, we're going to have PFDs. We are going to have the pack raft. We're going to have cordage to be able to transport back and forth. And, we're going to have several people on one side of the lake there to kind of capture us as we come down. And, hopefully the water levels will be down low enough that we'll be able to get across and pretty safely. And we might have to do a little bit of rock hopping to get to the trail on the other side. But, everything that we can do, we're going to do to try to be as safe as possible. But yeah, that's right now probably the biggest stressor. And I think we do have a couple more conversations that we're going to probably need to have. I'm in the process of trying to come up with some sort of an emergency alternate route just in case things fall through. And the consensus becomes that it shouldn't be pushed forward. But I'm at the point now where I definitely need to be aware of that situation, but I don't think it's at the point where it's to interrupt my trip that we've been planning for a long time. And we've paid a lot of detail towards safety and things like that. And so we're going to keep going forward. And hopefully everything will go out forward. Hello, where are we going? So, as I mentioned, this is a trip that has been planned for a few years, and I think a few people know kind of the idea. I haven't released the exact route yet, but in essence, we are going to be. I've started calling it the Absaroka Beartooth Traverse. Because we will be basically going from one corner of the Absaroka Beartooth Wilderness to the other corner in Montana. So we're going to be starting outside of Livingston, and we'll be traveling southeast towards Red Lodge. So 14 days, 154 miles, and a whole lot of venture in between. Once I'm done with the hike, I'm definitely going to share the route. I want everybody to have an opportunity to be able to possibly do this themselves one day, maybe even a little more safer when all the bridges are in place. So it's definitely not that I'm trying to be a gatekeeper or that I'm not going to share exactly where it is, but I kind of just want to get it done first and then share it. That might be selfish of me, but it's my route. But yeah, so we're just basically going to cut across both the Absaroka range and the Beartooth range, and make it down into Red Lodge. We're going to stay a day in Cook City as well. So that kind of gives you a general idea of the flow. If you look at the map you probably could figure out what the route is by that point. But we'll definitely, everything will be shared well. I'm sure I'll be talking about this at the point where people want to strangle me afterwards if we succeed. So, but yeah, we just want to get it done first, and then we'll open it up. I'd like to share the whole route and all the route information, and yeah, all that fun stuff. So, but yeah, I guess the long and the short of it is that I think we are as prepared as we possibly can, and it's a very interesting position to be in because all the stuff that we still have to do we can't really do until we're closer to the actual start date. So even though it's only 30 days out, the rest of our food and everything we can't get until a few days before we start, and then we'll package that up and get it ready for drops and everything. And so I feel a little bit funny because I'm aware that we're so close to it. I know that it's just 30 days away, but there's nothing for me to do, and that's giving me some degree of anxiety because I feel like I should be planning or doing something or getting things prepared. But I feel like everything is really dialed in, and I feel really confident about the situation. When we got out and did the shakedown hikes, we felt really, really strong throughout the hike, and I felt really good. So I'm really confident about that. That said, right before I got on here, I did a 2-mile run and did another leg and core workout. So I've been torturing myself ahead of time, trying to make sure that I am physically as fit as I can be so I don't have to back out because of something silly like that. Let's see here. Another question. Um, ah, I'm still trying to figure out stuff. How will you manage power? Solar panel or charger up in Cook City? So I'm definitely charging up in Cook City, but I'm also going to be bringing a battery bank. I believe the one I have is 20,000 milliamp. Right? I'm no electrician, but it's big and it weighs a lot. But I'm going to be using that to charge as we go. I do not use a solar panel. I have talked to a few people about the solar panels. And they work really well, but you have to use a battery bank with them to get a really decent charge anyway. So I'd rather, for the same amount of weight, just get a bigger battery bank and use that. And then in Cook City, we'll recharge everything up in Cook City, the battery bank as well. Although by the time we end up in Cook City, we're well past the halfway mark. So we're already 100 miles in. We only have 54 miles left to go. So I feel like probably once we get to Cook City, it'll be smooth sailing. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm bringing extra batteries for most things. So like my GoPro, I think I'll have like 6 batteries because they don't really weigh that much. So yeah, those are the kind of things we're getting around for. It was a good question. Absolutely. What is the distance and elevation? So the distance and elevation, we're the overall total mileage, according to Onyx, is 154 miles. So we'll be hitting the 100-mile mark right as we're coming into Cook City, which is kind of cool. But yeah, and then as far as elevation, the total elevation gain and loss for the entire route is 30,000 feet, which is quite a bit. There are 9 high points along the way. The tallest point is going to be at the very end when we go over Sundance Pass, which I've done before, but that's going to be a little over 11,000 feet. So, all right. Can I ruck every day to build up core? Yes, I have been doing that quite a bit. And I have a bag of beans that I toss into my backpack and go around. All of my neighbors, I think, pretty much are convinced that I'm insane at this point. So that is definitely, I mean, the best way to get ready for anything is to be actually doing it. But you know, the other same time, I also wanted to make sure that I had a good cardio base, and still doing a lot of strength training. So like lunges, squats, crunches, all that fun stuff had definitely been a part. Definitely, yeah, powering down the phone at night, definitely. Also, don't charge devices on a battery bank overnight because there is a constant draw from them and you'll lose more power from your battery bank if you leave them plugged in. So as soon as it's charged, you unplug that bad boy. Let's see here. I'm still figuring this out. What was the last thing you were going to put in your pack, but then decided, well, I'd rather save the weight? Oh man. I'm not sure, honestly. I've really tried to look at everything that I have gotten into this bag and trying to decide if the weight penalty is worth the positive. And the last thing that I really was going back and forth on was my chair. I was really wondering if it was worth the extra weight, and I didn't want to overdo it. So, but I also knew that 14 days out there, I'm just gonna want to lay back into the chair. And I was really on the fence about it until a recent podcast came out for I think it's called Backpacking Light, and they did a very much more scientific breakdown of recovery and all of that, and how crucial things like chairs can be to really disengage all of those core muscle groups and stuff. And I was like, you know what? There's science behind it. I'm bringing the chair. So that was probably the last one that I was really concerned about. I do really feel confident though in the setup, and I think we're going to move forward with everything from this this one out. Yeah, it is definitely going to be a big trip. It's going to by far be the biggest trip that I've ever done. I think before this, the closest I got, I did about 100 miles way back in 1997, back when I was 20 years old and invincible and could carry a 50-pound pack. So this is by far going to be the largest one coming up. Bear spray, yes or no? Absolutely a yes for me. So we are in grizzly country, for sure. In fact, the only grizzly I've ever seen on trail has been in one of the sections we're going to be on. So I always carry bear spray anymore. I carry it for bears. I carry it for moose. Whatever else is going to come after me. Crazy tent partners, who knows? But definitely carry bear spray. I don't carry a firearm. I know plenty of people do. I have no problem with people carrying firearms, but I know how bad my aim is in those moments. And so I want to be able to have a little bit more of a broadcast. You know, statistically speaking, bear spray is more effective. Nothing's 100% in that situation, but it's going to give us the best. There's two of us going. We're staying together, so we're going to have a lot more of the bear buddy system. Both of us use bear canisters. We no longer bear bag. We both have in reaches. I have a very detailed emergency plan to leave with my friends back here who are going to be involved in kind of tracking it as it goes. So we have a lot of safety measures involved, probably more than we need, but for something like this big, I just don't want to leave things to chance, if you know what I mean. All right, let's see here. One more. I know the last half from Cook City you've traveled before. What about the first half? What percentage have you hiked before? Great question. And I think I know who you are now. My buddy Vince, I think. Yeah, so we've done a little bit, but not much of the first half. So I would say probably from just before we get into Cook City, I've done the Stillwater drainage. I'm letting a little bit slide here. I've done a little bit on the Lake Fork Plateau, but we've not really done much of other than day hiked in the West Boulder. So yeah, I would say probably less than 10% of the first half we've done. So that's going to be the big part of it. I have done the second half, and I know that I love the second half, and I think it's going to be really cool to experience it on a long trip like that. I feel like it's going to hit differently. And I know for a fact that getting to the top of Sundance Pass, even though I have done it multiple times, I'm probably going to be bawling like a baby because I'm a bit of a crier, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. But I think it's going to be just so much more impactful after having gone through all that fun stuff. So, let's see. People in Cali will hate you carrying bear spray laugh loud. In BC, it's essential. Yeah, I would imagine in BC is definitely essential. In fact, I think I saw a video of a guy getting charged by a grizzly on, I don't know if it's in BC, but it was on the it's the part of the piece where the Continental Divide Trail continues up into Canada. And he got charged, and I think he almost had to just deploy his, but fortunately didn't. We'll be snow free in 30 days. It's mostly snow free now, other than some of the high spots. But yeah, I would say generally speaking, all the high spots, we're going to bring our micro spikes just in case. But generally speaking, I would say probably about 90% of the trail is probably clear by now. There's a few high points that are probably still a little bit snow covered right now, but usually by mid-July, it's pretty easy going. So we might come across a little bit of snow in some of the higher ones, but yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. Right. Banff. Oh man, I would love to go to Banff. That's one of my dream places to go. Hike with Mike. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for coming out, guys. Appreciate it. I wasn't sure how many people were going to make it, so it's good to see some familiar faces. Do I have any 0 days planned? Unfortunately, no. So we had the part of the problem that we're running into with all of this stuff right now is we had a window, and a trip this big, you have to plan a little bit more for that window, and so we don't have a lot of fudge room. That said, my goal is to make it to a particular campground before we go into Cook City And I know from previous experience that from that campsite into Cook City, it pretty much puts us in there right after lunch. So it's going to be more of a Nero day than a 0 day, but because we're going to be doing a little bit of hiking, but we are still going to have an opportunity to kind of relax, enjoy the town, get some good food, do some bougie things like laundry and stuff like that. In fact, I'm putting into my resupply some, laundry detergent because I know the hotel we're staying at has a washing and dryer. So, we'll have a little bit of time to kind of adjust there. But no, yeah, we won't have any zeros, unfortunately. Let's see, Mike. Had a black bear circling me in the middle of the night, camping solo in the green swamp in Florida. Pretty intense situation. Yeah. I've not had anything at night. I once thought that maybe we did have, but it turned out to just be mountain goats that were waiting for us to wake up and pee so that they could lick up the salt. But even that was enough to make me basically sit there with my bear spray in my hand. So yeah, fortunately, knock on wood, thick wood. All of my bear encounters have happened during the day at distance, and the bears all pretty much took one look at us and noped right on out. So, like I say, that's part of the reason why we're sticking together. So there'll be 2 to 3 of us at any given point in time, which kind of helps with that. But yeah, one of my biggest things would be having a bear in camp at night. So because of that, we do practice the Bermuda Triangle. We eat 100 feet away from where we're camping, and then we store our bear canisters 100 feet away from both. So it makes a big triangle, 100 feet, 100 yards, or whatever we're able to do, but as far away as we possibly can. So yeah, I don't eat in camp. Normally, like I say, black bear area is probably not as big of a deal, but with the potential of grizzlies in our area, yeah, I just don't take any chances. Everything's jumping here. You leave anything outside your tent? Had porcupines attack overnight before. So I have also had porcupines. I had a pair of trekking pole handles get chewed off by a porcupine. I don't leave anything outside of my tent anymore because of that. Every once in a while, I might hang my cook kit from a tree or something, or something like that. But yeah, I've had a porcupine. I know it was a porcupine because in the exact same place a week later, a friend of mine saw the porcupine doing it to his trekking poles. And yeah, so it was I lost a pair of tracking poles, and it got a hold of my sternum strap on my pack. Fortunately, it didn't do any other damage to it, and I was able to get it replaced. But yeah, no, I generally don't like to leave stuff out of the tent anymore. And again, that's why I went with the dipole tent. Is even though it's a single person tent, it's a double door, double vestibule, so it still has plenty of storage space, even though it's basically a coffin on the inside. Um, Let's see here. I guess if weather shortens a day, just have them make up the next one. Yeah, basically, we have kind of a general idea how far we need to go, but it's going to be kind of a sliding scale. I don't have exact places for us to camp at. There's a few places that I want to camp at, but it's definitely kind of up there. When I laid it out on the map, I circled the area that was 10 feet intervals because I at minimum need to do about 10 miles to make it through. And so that's kind of like the make or break. If for some reason we have a short day, we'll just have to make it up the next one. So, yep, it's an incentive not to try not to do a short day. Bang in the Middle, Campfire Ring, and Led Zeppelin Immigrant Song. Good choice of song. I that would probably draw me into the camp, but Bears apparently not Led Zeppelin fans, but good choice of music. Yeah, water crossings. Good question. Anything deep? So I don't know if you were here or not when I was talking about the bridge out. So our biggest river or water crossing is that there is a lake with a really dangerous discharge that normally has a bridge on it that does not have a bridge on it right now. And unfortunately, somebody recently passed away there. Um, they're still starting to search the bodies. Kind of created a lot of last minute trying to figure out what we should do. Trying to be sensitive of the situation, but also continuing on with the trip. So for that one, we'll be taking a pack raft actually across. So two of our friends they're resupplying us anyways, but they're going to hike up to that lake from the other side with a pack raft. And then we're going to pack raft across the middle of the lake. So we're going to be as far away from the outlet as humanly possible. And that's just dependent on where we can and can't get out on the other side. But there are a few places we should be able to get to without having to get too close. So that's probably the worst of the water crossings. It's going to take a little bit more logistics than I'm used to, but with our in reaches and everything, we'll still have communication, so we can coordinate it while we're on trail, which is just wild to me. Um, so that's probably the biggest one. There are a few other stream crossings. Most of them, in my experience, have been knee deep or lower. Um, and I think that they are anticipating water levels to be lower in July this year than they have been in previous years. So I'm going to guess it's probably going to be, pretty run of the mill stream crossings. I know there's a few of them on the beaten path section. Um, the first half, it doesn't look like there's a ton of them, but I don't know for sure. But we'll definitely have a few walk across. But the biggest one right now is definitely it's called Rimrock Lake. And they are putting in a bridge in August, but we have a plan to kind of circumvent that. So my pack weight right now, excuse me, last I weighed it with a couple days worth of food and water was 22 pounds. So I think my base weight is somewhere around 12 or something. I don't remember. But we have a few extra things. We carry bear canisters, so that definitely takes up a little bit more weight. Um, my bougie chair is coming with us, so it's going to take up a little more weight. But I would say, yeah, generally speaking, I think we're going to be around the 20, 22, 25 pound weight area. The longest food carry we have is 4 or 5 days. So yeah, we're going to be traveling fairly light for I think what we're going to be doing. I have the film, the camera, the batteries, and the battery bank are going to add a little bit more weight. So I could certainly lose a little bit more weight if I wanted to, but in order to achieve what I want to with filming and everything else, it's going to probably be a little bit more. If you do need a detour, my choice would going Fossil Lake. Yeah, I'll definitely contact you here later off of this and ask some questions about that. I am trying to come up with a potential detour just to make sure that we're not causing any problems there. But fingers crossed. I know everything going on, and I know that it's definitely kind of a rough situation. I still would really like to do the true route. And so I've been in constant contact with people involved in the situation to make sure that that's still possible. But it's definitely a good idea for I think us to have some sort of a detour. So I will talk to you in the future about that. Thanks, though. Normally hike in swampy areas in Florida, but we had a really bad drought, so not many watery trails these days. Yeah, that's interesting to hear. I hadn't heard it was quite that dry down there. I have family in Florida, but they're on the coast, so they might not be, as aware. But yeah, it's Florida's got less terrain, but they've also got lots of things that can bite you and envenenate you and various things. So, goods with the bads. That said, I've always wanted to do like a wintertime trip in Florida or something because I do love it there, and it's a fascinating place for me. But so I'd love to give it a shot sometime, maybe part of the Florida Trail or something. Oh, I hope you didn't just jinx it. Currently, no. There have been a few small fires. We're definitely in that season. It is definitely an area that's prone to it. Apparently, there was a very small fire up off the Beartooth Pass. It was on private property, but they did do mutual aid. But it was not only contained but extinguished. So they got to it pretty quickly, and it was relatively small. So yeah, but definitely. So I got a app, a friend of mine. It's called Watch Duty or something like that, that you can set up to give you alerts if there are forest fires in certain areas. Has not gone off yet, but definitely keeping something to keep an eye on. I have definitely been out there before with other fires. Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that. I would love to do that. Like I said, I have family down there, so I could very easily. So if that becomes an issue, I will let you know, good sir. Headed to Billings in a week. Any recommendations in the area? Depends on what your definition of in the area is. If you're going to be just mainly in Billings area, I really love Zimmerman Park up on the rims. That's a really great place to hike. There's also some hiking really nice along the river. If you have the ability to go a little ways away, anything around the Red Lodge area that's relatively low right now is a good option. I think the snow level's hanging out somewhere around 8 to 9,000 feet. I've been up to Sioux Charlie. That's been a really great. It's the Woodbine Trailhead over by Nye. That's a really great one. It's completely clear right now. Lake Fork, just outside of Red Lodge, is clear right now. West Fork, I think, is clear up to Quinneball Meadows. So Billings itself doesn't have a ton. There are some neat places to hike in town there, like I said, up along the rims. But if you're really looking to do some really good hiking in the area and you don't mind driving about an hour, I'd hit up Red Lodge. Hey, Melissa, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for coming out. Any painting supplies going for at least one supply segment? Need something to do while hot pant fishes. Yeah, I am bringing the painting supplies, and fortunately, it doesn't take a whole lot, so I don't think I have to worry about resupplying that too much. But I am planning on bringing my painting supplies. If I have enough energy in the end of the day, I definitely want to do that because I did some up on this last trip and it was amazing. So definitely going to happen. All right. Hi, Rod Outdoors, everybody. How's it going? Yeah. So, anybody else have any questions or anything? I think I've covered most of what I set out to do. Like I say, right now we're just kind of waiting to see what happens with the situation there on East Rosebud as far as the unfortunate gentleman who passed away. Because we're going to be going through that area. As I said, right now I am still planning to go through that area, but I definitely am going to get some contingency plans in place. I think we're still going to be doing as much of it as we can. But I know a few people who we might have to do some off-roading, but we'll figure something out. But I think as of right now, I'm confident that we can safely cross in that area. I just don't want to get in anybody's way. And so, yeah. We're at 38 minutes, so I think it's pretty good. If anybody has any other questions, let me know. If you don't have any other questions or you come up with them later, you can always email me. I also wanted to mention, for those of you who are on here, I do have a Patreon now. I was really on the fence about starting one of those, but I decided I wanted to do some more writing and share some stories in more of a written format and less with videos. Videos are fun, but they take a lot of production, and I don't always have time, where it's a lot easier for me just to sit down and type away. So if you're interested, check that out. There should be a link in my last video. I should put a link in the bio, but I haven't done it yet. But in my last video's comment section, there was a link there. So yeah, give that a shot. It's relatively inexpensive, but yeah, if you're interested in hearing some more stories, more written format type stuff, and delve into a little bit more deeply into some of my experiences and stuff like that, I'll be adding some stuff for that. So it'd be awesome if you guys want to do that. If you don't, I understand completely, but just want to throw that out there. Also, I recently became a affiliate for backcountry exposure. So Devin asked me to do that, which was an honor. So if you are interested, that's also in the link of my last video. And yeah, I think that's it. Let's see. I think you mentioned doing a long form film, or you're going to do smaller releases. Absolutely. Mainly because I don't think I could wait long enough to share everything with everybody to do the long format. I'm also not entirely sure I'm going to be able to do the long format. That's something for me to try to figure out. But definitely there will still be, I will probably do a day to day. So I'll at least get 14 videos out of it. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be I'm gonna be running the risk of talking about this so much that it drives people crazy. So there will not be a shortage of information. Uh, I will definitely think of you while on the adventures, and I need to get a hold of you and see how you're doing. So I will contact you soon. Um, do mostly raw video footage, least amount of editing, keep it real. And actually, I really appreciate that about your approach, Mike. You were one of the people that I followed before I started mine, and I loved that aesthetic. So keep doing what you're doing, buddy. You're doing great. Uh, Sorry, I am not technologically not cut out today. What do I use for video editing? So this surprises a lot of people. I don't do a lot of editing in the sense. So I actually use iMovie on my iPad to edit my videos. Um, Part of it is because I'm it's hard to switch to something new with all the different bells and whistles, but I also really kind of like Mike. I like a simple aesthetic, and so I don't put a lot of like editing flair and stuff in there. And so for me, iMovie kind of achieves everything that I need to do, at least at this point. I have done a couple extra things with Canva and stuff like that. But yeah, as of right now, I'm just using iMovie, and so far it has worked out well for me. Nobody has complained yet so far. So I'm guessing it does a pretty good job, but I have had a few other creators that when they find out that I film on a GoPro, edit on my iPad with iMovie, they're very surprised by the stuff that comes out with it, which I'm very flattered by. But yeah, it's just what I've always done. It's what I know, so it's easy for me. Um, Okay, so I'm not the only one. That's good to know. Yeah, most people are like, "I can't believe you still use that one." I was like, "Well, it does everything I need it to, and it's not the most intuitive in some places, but it's easy enough for me to figure out." So, thanks for. Oh, cool. Melissa also uses iMovie, but yeah, yeah, I agree. It's a simplicity. It's like you don't really have to think about too much. Um, I don't do a lot of like color shift things for mine. I just tend to leave it as much the raw footage as I want. And I have gotten a few people say, wow, that one shot was really washed out. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's just a GoPro. But yeah, like I say, it just works out really well. All right, everybody. I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for your interest in this trail that we're doing, this hike that we're doing. It's been a lot of fun to kind of share that with you. We are definitely like on pins and needles now, waiting for this. And like the crunch time is here. I have to buy a lot of food still. I don't know. Excuse me. Except no. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, we got to figure out how we're gonna get all that stuff and buy all that food and stuff. And so that'll be fun to figure out. So if anybody wants to help us out with that, you're more than welcome to, but no pressure. We'll get it done one or the other. So yeah, again, thanks everybody for coming out. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really happy that I wasn't sure if anybody would make it out or not. So thanks everyone. Keep hiking on.